It's all coming back up here. This is Charlene on 88.5 FM The Beat. If you live in Blue Hills, you gotta be home by 7 tonight. Really? Yes. There's a curfew. The commission. Yeah. Yeah, that was this morning.
What's the notice?
So let me pull up my WhatsApp here. I have my underground sources. Apple now lets you send Bitcoin. This is Charlene live on 88.5 FM. The Smart Beat live on your radio. Thank you for tuning in. If you have an Apple phone, if you've got Apple Pay, if you send money to people, if you want to send money to people and you want to use your phone, guess what, folks? It is here. I'm not talking about it's coming. It is here. As of today, you can send anything on Apple Pay. You can send Bitcoin on Apple Pay. This is happening as we speak. If you are in the United States, or if you are anywhere that follows the financial markets, you know that this week the Federal Reserve cut 25 basis points or 0.25% interest rates. And so people are going to now be able to open up or access to a lot more credit options. I've gotten a flood of emails offering mortgages on properties, offering lower interest rates. And the other thing I want to cover with you today on 88.5 FM The Beat is the fact that Bitcoin is about to rocket. Today, we've seen Bitcoin all the way down to 111,000, tiny bit below 112,000, 11,000, not 11,000, I'm sorry, 111,995. And then we saw Bitcoin down to a high of 114,000, a little bit over 114,000 earlier. Right now, as we do this show, Bitcoin is trading on the exchanges, on the open market at 113,800. So if you are into crypto, you want to get into that area of trading different currencies, different cryptocurrencies. But this is what the Bitcoin is doing. So let me just get my hands wrapped around what's happening. This is a time of your life where you're either doing something or you will be eliminated. Apple just released their new iPhone 17. So you thought everybody's getting the new iPhone. What a lot of people are doing is they're trading in their iPhone 16. I don't know if they're taking 15s. I think they're taking, you can trade in your iPhone. So basically, all the phones that are the new iPhone 17, people are just trading in. They're not really making any money off of the new iPhone. So what happens is, if say you are selling something in your shop and it's not moving fast enough, you say, okay, you can bring in the old one and we'll give you the new one for free, basically for free. T-Mobile had a lot of people turning in their older iPhone on a promotion to the newer iPhone on a promotion. So basically, there's no money being made because you're getting the phone for free and you're trading in the old phone. What do they do with the old phones? I don't know. Maybe they're going to sell those at a fraction, and then they're going to claim those sales for the refurbished iPhones as sales. But here's the thing, folks. Apple is basically dead. So what we're looking at is a dead Apple. I'm talking about the company. Now, Apple makes the computer, they make iPhone, they basically have been making one product, a device. Now, other companies like NVIDIA, they make the chips, and they make the chips that everybody uses. You basically, when you buy an Apple product, that's basically a consumer product. Like, you don't need an Apple product to make another product, right? They don't make any components that you will need to acquire to make something else. Their products are on the user side, the end user. So where Apple finds itself is that it's not been innovating or generating or creating anything new in the last 10, 15 years, since Steve Jobs passed on, and we have the new Tim Cook. Tim Cook has only been putting out a new iPhone every so often, right? And charging more money for the same product, basically a different cover, a different charger. Like, what's innovative about the iPhone that, it's nothing new, right? There's added features. Some features are not there anymore, but basically it's an old product. It's an old concept. Let's put the iPhone in a new wrapper. So there's been no innovation. So here's the thing that Apple realizes. Apple realizes that they got to get with it. And the easiest way they decided or discovered they could get with is none other than Bitcoin. So Apple does not show up on the Bitcoin treasuries as holding any Bitcoin on their balance sheets. So the trend is that these major corporations started with Tesla, actually, and then Tesla didn't keep up with it, but because Tesla is now in the 11th place of the corporate giants that are holding Bitcoin on their balance sheets in a strong way. Used to be Tesla at the top. Now it's MicroStrategy, who rebranded themselves, and their new name is called Strategy, not MicroStrategy. They just went with the word strategy as their new branding name. You got to rebrand yourself, folks, if you want to stay ahead. Now, MicroStrategy now sits on about 600 and what is it? 639,000. They have a quadrillion value in Bitcoin. If you multiply that by 113,000, I don't want to do the math for you. If you're driving in your car, thank you for tuning in. This is Charlene on 88.5 FM, live on your radio. Okay, now stay at the wheel if you're driving and focus on the road. Tune your ears to my show, but keep your eyes on the road. But what I'm going to tell you is about to peel the skin off your face. Are you ready for this? You can now send Bitcoin just on your iPhone. just on your iMessage. You know, you send money, hey, you call me up, my friend, send me some money. I need $20 right now. Whatever. Somebody in Miami calling you, send me money. Or you calling someone in Miami on your iPhone, you get an iMessage, you get money in your Apple Cash, your Apple Wallet. Now, they can send you Bitcoin, but don't send Bitcoin over iMessage. I'm telling you, whatever you do, if you have Bitcoin, listen, Apple does not have any Bitcoin. The only way Apple is going to beef up its wallet with Bitcoin is if you send it. Because when you send Bitcoin to Apple, they're going to hold that Bitcoin because the person on the other end is probably going to get cash. They want cash, right? So Apple is sitting on gazillion amounts of cash. Say I send you $100 of Bitcoin to your iPhone. You don't necessarily want money to spend right now. You need $100 to pay for your phone bill. You're not going to take that in Bitcoin. You're going to take that in cash. Now, Apple, because they're sitting on trillions of dollars in cash, they don't have to convert their Bitcoin into cash to give it to the person on the other end. Bitcoin in your Apple iMessage is going directly into Apple's own coffers. Apple found a way to collect Bitcoins from you, from the people who've saved their Bitcoin since the beginning, people who've been grabbing little bits of satoshis and small amounts of Bitcoin here and there. You want to turn that over and give that to a major corporation, Apple? Let me break it down for you folks. If you're just tuning in, this is Charlene on 88.5 FM live radio coming at you with facts, figures, and we're going to do the math. We're going to stay focused on getting you ahead and getting you into the mix of what's going on. Do not send your Bitcoin to Apple, to iPhone, by iMessage. Whatever you do, that's the only way you're going to fatten an already bloating giant called Apple. And some of these other major corporations that are now getting into Bitcoin. When you and I were getting into Bitcoin, they told us not to do it. They told us how Bitcoin was bad. They told us yada, yada, yada. Guess what, folks? They're now realizing that Bitcoin is the leader. Bitcoin is the way to get ahead. Bitcoin is 16 years. On January 3rd, which we're going to celebrate in the Turks and Caicos Islands, Bitcoin's 17th birthday on January 3rd. That's New Year's weekend. That's a Saturday, January 3rd. You got to get your tickets from 88.5 FM with your host here, Charlene. Anyways, we're going to celebrate 17 years of Bitcoin since the first Bitcoin was mined in 2009. But anyways, let's get back. So since 2009, that's 17 years, Apple has not accumulated any amount of Bitcoin. Maybe they have some, but they're not reporting it. They have not accumulated any Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They don't tell us. And if they have some, we don't know about it. But guess what? They're trying to get some. And guess the only way they can get Bitcoin today is if you open your wallet and use your wallet thinking that you're doing a convenient thing, sending Bitcoin to somebody else or sending Bitcoin so that person can receive cash. Apple will be banking, will be stocking up on Bitcoin. That's the only way they're going to get in the Bitcoin game. And pretty soon, all these big companies offering services around Bitcoin services are basically the only way to convert their customer base into a Bitcoin wallet. Let me break it down for you. Say Apple has 1.2 billion customers worldwide, okay? Let's just say everybody sends $1 of Bitcoin via Apple. That's giving Apple $1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin right away without them having to buy Bitcoin, because they're not going to sell that Bitcoin to send the money to the person you're trying to send Bitcoin to. Apple will keep the money because most people want cash. If you ask me for money, you want that money to go and buy something right away. And unless that end purchase that you're going to make that purchase in Bitcoin, you're going to convert that Bitcoin in your Apple Wallet into cash. And they're going to offer it to you in cash. They're not going to get it out. And it's like you go to the machine, right? And you put in, say you have one of those juice machines at home that juices, and you put the thing in, and then it extractor, a juice extractor. You put you put a pineapple in, you get juice, and you get the pineapple pulp. Guess what Apple is gonna do? They're going to, you put a pineapple in the juice extractor, guess what you're going to get out? Orange juice. You're not even getting out pineapple juice, because they're going to keep that Bitcoin. That's what I know they're going to do, because that's the only way they're going to get in the game. And they're going to use their customer base, who a lot of people who have Apple phone or are into technology are also into Bitcoin. This is genius on Apple's part. But as your host, Charlene, on the Smart Beat, if you listen to my show, you're looking for something smart. You're not just looking for information. You can go online and Google and find out all the news that's coming. I'm not here to give you news, folks. I'm here to give you news that you can use. If you can't use it, it ain't going to come from me. Plus, you'll never hear anybody else telling you, hold on to your Bitcoins. Don't dump your Bitcoin into the pockets of giants who sat on the sideline, who told you Bitcoin was a scam, who told you Bitcoin was bad, who told you Bitcoin was going nowhere, and now they missed the boat. You are driving the boat. All my Bitcoiners, knock on wood, you are driving the boat this season. And guess what's going to happen from here on out? We're going to explode. Cryptocurrencies are going to explode, because now every bank, every corporation, every company has to get in the Bitcoin game. There's no other way out, folks. Cash is no longer king. Guess who's king? Guess who's king in terms of currency, in terms of trading, in terms of asset class? Bitcoin is king. Bitcoin has outperformed every other asset for the last 17 years. And now we're at, Bitcoin has outperformed every other currency. You know that. We have the British pound, right? It only takes you $1 and a little change, $1 and a little change to get the British pound. But it's taking you 113,000 US dollar to get you one Bitcoin. And I'm just giving you the price that is being traded right now as we speak. I'm looking at it on the charts. Bitcoin's trading now at $113,000 US dollar for one Bitcoin. But you don't have to buy one whole Bitcoin. You can buy any amount from $10 all the way up, whatever, all these exchanges. You can actually buy Bitcoin on Apple as well. So Apple lets you buy Bitcoin, but they charge you an exuberant fee. It's not like Robinhood or Strike. Strike is a better wallet because their fees are low. But Apple, if you try to do Apple, I think Venmo lets you send Bitcoin or buy it and keep Bitcoin in your digital wallet. But that's not your crypto coin, right? You're just playing with the fake Bitcoin, because behind the scenes, Venmo still owns that Bitcoin and Apple still owns that Bitcoin. You don't want to open especially if you have a cold wallet that's not on an exchange, or you have an exchange that lets you own your own crypto keys. You don't want to turn that over to anybody like Apple. Maybe send it to your mother, send it to your family and friends. Send it to me, Charlene, your favorite host on 88.5 FM live radio, coming to you this day. It's an amazing time to be alive, folks. I can go on and on about Bitcoin, but there are other things that is wearing on me. So you know what's strange? What I find strange, speaking about recent events, Charlie Kirk, I have come to the conclusion that Charlie Kirk, okay, let me start over. Charlie Kirk, the conservative Christian guy that was shot, in Utah at Utah Valley University, where I was an adjunct instructor. I had actually worked at Utah Valley University. It was my first job out of university because I went to Brigham Young University, BYU, which is just down the road, a few miles from UVU. So what happens if you can't get into BYU because you're not as smart as me, Charlene, 88.5 FM, the smart beat. If you can't get into BYU, my university that I graduated from, my alma mater, my big shot Ivy League BYU, that I think I need to get a refund. I mean, that degree is doing nothing for me. Here I am on the radio. I should be some big shot in a big giant company, right? Anyways, here I am, graduate of BYU, employee at UVU, Utah Valley University, where Charlie Kirk was taken out. After looking at all the evidences, and a lot of people are going back and trying to figure out which bullet, which weapon, which angle, there's a lot of questions surrounding the death of Charlie Kirk. But because I worked at UVU, I have stood in the same spot where Charlie Kirk lost his life. And the reason I want to talk about it is because there's so much confusion. And what I find very, very, very confusing is the fact that the spot where I have walked many, many times is a lawn, a beautiful amphitheater. It's like little steps, and you can sit out there, and it goes down, and there's a lot of events and music and even like outdoor events like buying and selling, like a festival that's held right there. It's between a lot of buildings, and so that spot is a very, very popular location. You can see, if you're anywhere in the university campus, you can probably get a glimpse of this interior amphitheater. So there are buildings around, and then there's a grassy kind of a ditch, like if you dug out a basin, and they've turned that into an amphitheater, and there's a staging area, but it's all grass. Now, since right after the event of Charlie Kirk getting shot, they have wiped the crime scene so clean. They have sanitized the whole thing. They've removed the grass, and now they've put pavers. They've paved over it. So any investigation is completely done. They have put concrete pavers and pavement where the grass was. So there's no more investigation of the crime scene, right? I find that extremely strange. They did that like days after. Everything's gone. It doesn't look the same. They didn't even put a monument. And this is in Utah, where I was a teacher at Utah Valley University. Not a teacher, it's a university. So I was an instructor there. I taught Bitcoin. Everything I'm talking with you about in terms of Bitcoin, technology, investments, artificial intelligence, all the technology stuff that I'm covering with you, I taught those topics, or some of those topics, at Utah Valley University, where Charlie Kirk was, shot. So my conclusion on that whole thing, just because I know personally the location and the university, I believe we're never going to get the real answers because they've already sanitized the scene of the crime, whoever they is. And now we're left with speculation, so we cannot get answers because a lot of people have gone to the university trying to recreate the events, trying to figure out the answers. But here today we are on 88.5 FM with me, Charlene, who's a former instructor in the finance department at Utah Valley University, and it boggles my mind. So here's my conclusion. You want to hear something funny? I believe at the end of all of this, we're going to come to the same conclusion that I come to, that Charlie Kirk has passed away at the expense of a self-inflicted wound of believing in Jesus Christ. That's the bullet that shot him. A self-inflicted wound because the crime scene's been wiped, all the evidence been buried. They got a guy who nobody can verify which picture and what picture, and the pictures of the that they show don't match the guy that showed up in court, and all these nonsensical evidence that is roaming around. But it's very dear to my heart, and I'm talking about it on the radio because I, Charlene, was an instructor. That's one of my former job, an adjunct instructor at Utah Valley University. I have sat where Charlie Kirk has sat, handed out brochures, taught my class there. I've held conventions at Bitcoin conventions at UVU, at Utah Valley University. A lot of people are reaching out to me and asking me, because a lot of people don't know I no longer teach there. They're asking me questions. Were you there? Did you see anything? They're concerned, like, what happened? Like, I don't know the details. I wasn't there. I've been traveling, right? I'm on vacation. I'm visiting all over. But here's why it matters, folks. Information, facts, technology. You've got to get ahead of the game. You got to be smart. When someone shares some facts with you, you've got to measure those facts by the knowledge base that you have. Now, if you have a shallow knowledge base and new facts come into you, like you're listening to the show, there's nothing to measure it to let you know whether this is truth or false. You just have facts. You just have information. So we need to broaden or deepen our reservoir of information, our reservoir of knowledge. You got to open up your mind to the new technology. Artificial intelligence is here. You can put in a query, a question on any of these social media platforms and get answers. Now, you got to decide, do those answers align with the facts you already have? Are you willing, when someone says, do you have an open mind? Are you willing to receive new information as truth? Or are you willing to explore new truths? Are you willing to explore new facts? Now, in any crime scene, you wouldn't want to concrete over. If there was grass there, I can understand where the shot and the blood might have been. There might have been grass. It's turf, right? What you could do is you could cut out the area where the grass was and put fresh grass. You could put new grass. You could even they have astroturf, fake grass. You could put that over, but then concrete it in, like literally put concrete over the crime scene. So there's no more investigation. That investigation is shut, done, closed, concreted over. You don't even concrete over graves. You put dirt over it so you can go dig up the body or exhume the body at any time. But that scene is concreted over, and there's so many rumors. And I know that eventually we're going to come to terms with Charlie Kirk passed on from a self-inflicted wound. That's the joke. Oh my goodness. This is Charlene, live on 88.5 FM, former instructor at Utah Valley University, teaching Bitcoin basics, Bitcoin 101, blockchain basics at Utah Valley University during my time. I am so excited to bring to you something that is very special. This is the Beat, the Smart Beat, 88.5 FM. We have our own crypto token that I launch on Pump Fun. If you want to go on Pump Fun and have a lot of fun, you can create your own coins too. But the only thing about creating a coin is somebody gonna take that coin? Is that coin gonna be of value for trading for something else? And the coins that we have at the Beat, our crypto tokens, are good for free stuff. So you can go on to 885thebeat.com, 885thebeat.com, and register. There's a big register button right there up on the front page. register to get your own free beat tokens, because every day I will be sending out, distributing 88.5 crypto coins from the Beat Station. Now, I know it sounds like Bitcoin, but it's Beatcoin, the Beatcoin, the station, 88.5 FM. So every day at 8:05, it's automatically set up in a smart contract on the database to issue out 88.5 Bitcoins to all the members that have signed up on 885thebeat.com radio station website. And this is what I'm wanting to do. For those of you who want to call in and get extra tokens, extra crypto coins, here's the number: 649 441 8805. Here's the number again: 649 441 8805. The Beat with Charlene, the smart beat. That's why you tune in. You want to be smarter than your peers. You want to be ahead of the game. All right, I'm going to catch up with you soon, but I just had to bring you again. Apple, the company, on your iPhone, you can send Bitcoin, but don't send your Bitcoin on Apple because they don't have any Bitcoin and they're going to keep those Bitcoins that you're sending. And they have 1.2 billion customers that they just rolled out this Apple iMessage sending your Bitcoin through. So if everybody sends $1 worth of Bitcoin to Apple, immediately they're going to get a $1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin. And they don't have any. So they've got to get their hands on your Bitcoin as soon as they can. And that's what it's all about, folks. Everybody wants to be in the Bitcoin. Everybody wants to get Bitcoin. And the only way for them to get Bitcoin today is if you open your crypto wallet, your Bitcoin wallet, and send it to them, to Apple, to all of these mega companies. Don't do it, folks. Even if it's a little bit, try your best to maintain your own Bitcoin in your own wallet and keep it. Don't be sending it off because they're just going to keep that. They have so much cash that they can send on the other end of the trade, and you will never see that Bitcoin again because they're going to save it for themselves in their own wallets. You heard about it first here on 88.5 FM. This is Charlene with the Smart Beat live.